Douglas Hurd, former diplomat, gets Northern Ireland. Mr. Pryor says, "I won't lead Tory revolts." They're back talking tonight in the mines dispute. The casualties go south in the Afghan guerrilla war. And every day Britain dispatches pawn to the USA. Good evening. Mrs. Thatcher has appointed a new Secretary of State for Northern Ireland. She's also appointed a new Minister without portfolio in her cabinet, who isn't a member of the Commons or the Lords yet. The new Ulster Secretary is Mr. Douglas Hurd, a Home Office Minister, former Secretary to Mr. Heath and a former diplomat. The new Minister without portfolio is Mr. David Young, Chairman of the Manpower Services Commission and brother of the Chairman of the BBC. He'll go to the Lords. To back Mr. Hurd up in Ulster, his Minister of State will be Dr. Rhodes Boyson, a Minister for Social Security and a working-class Tory. Leaving the Cabinet at his own wish, Mr. Jim Pryor, going to private industry and the backbenches. He says he won't be leading any revolts. The Conservative Party Chairman, Mr. John Selwyn Gummer, is Paymaster General, but he's not in the Cabinet. Mr. Kenneth Baker, Minister for Information Technology, leaves that to try to sort out local government. Lord Cofield is dropped from the Cabinet to become a British Commissioner in Brussels. The former Labour MP, Mr. Stanley Clinton Davis, goes there too. Lord Gowrie, who's been running the arts, joins the Cabinet as Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster. More appointments later this week.
It was Mr. Pryor's desire to leave the Northern Ireland office after his 3-year stint there that made this reshuffle necessary. In his letter of resignation to Mrs. Thatcher, Mr. Pryor admitted they hadn't always worked together in complete harmony, but with what he termed frankness characteristic of us both. In her reply, Mrs. Thatcher described his resignation as a loss to the Cabinet. His replacement, Douglas Hurd, is the most junior minister to take up the post since it was created. After a diplomatic career, he entered Parliament in 1974 and gained a reputation as a political wet. Until tonight, he was Minister of State at the Home Office. He's also, incidentally, a novelist who writes political thrillers. Appointed as his Minister of State is the controversial right-winger Dr. Rhodes Boyson, perhaps there to counterbalance Mr. Hurd. It seems unlikely Mr. Hurd will be embarking on any early political initiatives, despite the pressure from Dublin. And the leader of the official Ulster Unionists, James Molyneux, said Mr. Hurd's appointment would be viewed with unease and suspicion.
Hurd cannot expect to be taken on trust. He will have to earn that trust. We will have to have real evidence that he means to do the job which I imagine the Prime Minister wants him to do, to preserve Northern Ireland as a part of the United Kingdom and no hanky-panky with any foreign republics.
Mr. Pryor, meanwhile, is heading for the plum industrial job of chairman of the giant GEC Corporation. He'll stay in the Commons, but says he won't take his disagreements over economic policy into rebellion, as he told Ian Glover-James.
I won't become a centre of an anti-Thatcher movement. I've told Mrs. Thatcher that I intend to play a part on the backbenches and to be a loyal member of the Conservative Party. Opposition comes from the Labour Party, not from within the Conservative Party. Mrs. Thatcher knows I hold certain views. That's come out very clearly in the exchange of letters between us. But I don't intend to be a rebel, and I don't intend to lead factions of my own party against the government. Government's a very difficult job, and Mrs. Thatcher's going to need all the support that we can give her over the next 2 or 3 years.
If you had one word of advice to give your successor in the Northern Ireland office, what would it be?
I think the advice must be that he must listen carefully, but at the end of the day he has to make up his mind, make certain he has the full support of his cabinet, the government and the party behind him, and then put forward his ideas with that strength and that support. And I'm certain if he does that, having listened carefully to what is said to him within Northern Ireland, then we can go on making some progress.
Perhaps the most surprising appointment is that of David Young, chairman of the Manpower Services Commission, straight into the Cabinet as Minister without portfolio. He gets a life peerage in the process. The Prime Minister is said to be impressed with his ability and experience on industrial matters, but this leap into the Cabinet from a non-political job appears to be almost without precedent. Party Chairman John Selwyn Gummer's new post of Paymaster General will carry no ministerial salary to remove accusations he was being paid taxpayers' money to do a party job. Kenneth Baker moves from Information Technology to beef up Patrick Jenkins' team at the Department of the Environment, and 2 new faces join the junior ministerial ranks, Michael Spicer at Transport and Peter Bottomley at Employment. There were no sackings from the Cabinet this time round. The departures were more or less voluntary, and the political complexion of the Cabinet remains much the same.
The former SDP leader, Mr. Roy Jenkins, said Mr. Pryor's departure had left the government weaker. He told his party conference in Buxton the Tories now had more talent on the backbenches than they had on the front.
With Mr. Pryor gone, there will not be a single Commons member of the Cabinet whom she could not sack more easily than most newspaper proprietors could get rid of an editor. In this important sense, it is the weakest and most centralized cabinet that I've ever known. There is far more talent amongst ex-ministers than on the front bench.
Earlier at the SDP conference, Mr. Jenkins and the party president, Mrs. Shirley Williams, stressed the importance of the alliance with the Liberals. Both supported Dr. Owen, who yesterday ruled out a merger, but Mrs. Williams said both parties needed each other to achieve their political aims.
The SDP has been accused recently of becoming virtually a one-man band under Dr. Owen. Today, the party's president, Shirley Williams, specifically denied it was. She and the party's first leader, Roy Jenkins, then went on to prove the point by describing the alliance with the Liberals in very different terms from those Dr. Owen feels. While Dr. Owen is totally opposed to any future merger and even hopes the SDP might be able to go it alone after the next election, Roy Jenkins said firmly today the relationship with the Liberals should be a permanent one.
I have no wish to see this party tie itself into constitutional knots by seeking a forced or a premature merger. But I do believe that how effective our alliance appears to the electorate depends upon our being a union of hearts, working permanently together, and not just a temporary arrangement of opportunism and convenience.
Mr. Jenkins warned the SDP and perhaps its leader that they shouldn't act as if they were always tough and right and the Liberals always soft and wrong.
Two parties we are, but we are in this together for good. There can be no SDP victories. There are Liberal defeats, or vice versa. We have to live ever more closely together. We must do so in mutual respect and affection.
Shirley Williams said the party's Liberal allies were vital if the SDP was ever to form a government.
Divided, we cannot prevail in a harsh political climate. Our relations have grown closer and stronger in the past year. Ours is not an alliance of expediency, but a lasting alliance of principle. We need the Liberals and they need us for as far ahead as we can see to achieve our goals for the country.
Mrs. Williams and Mr. Jenkins' support for a permanent relationship with the Liberals must be seen in the light of a delicate negotiations over which party fights which seats at the next election. They're concerned that Dr. Owen's tough, often independent posture may enable some Liberals in several areas of the country to break off negotiations and go their own way, a split which would be disastrous for the alliance. David Rose, News at 10, Buxton.
The Miners' Union and the National Coal Board have just ended their round of talks in Edinburgh for the night. They say they'll talk again tomorrow. Neither side has said anything much in public. The Coal Board Deputy Chairman, Mr. James Cowan, said the talks were going moderately well. Our industrial correspondent Michael Green sent this report just before the talks were adjourned.
The Coal Board chiefs returned to the Miners' Hotel 2 hours ago for the third session of the day. Mr. McGregor seemed relaxed, cracking jokes on the way back in. The 7 hours of discussions so far today appear to have been strictly businesslike, in contrast with last night's plastic bag and car chase routine. The few remarks the Coal Board chiefs have let slip have been guardedly optimistic. Earlier, miners' leaders had been even less communicative, in contrast with last week's vitriolic exchanges. Much interest had been aroused by a report in Robert Maxwell's Daily Mirror that the NUM was to ballot the miners. Mr. Scargill insisted this wouldn't happen.